NTA International News.
President Buhari inaugurates state-owned high school in Osogbo while on official visit to the state of the Living Spring. Wonders of nature as eclipse darkens skies in parts of Nigeria with different degrees of totality. Team Nigeria departs for 2016 Rio Paralympic Games. So good to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I am Ifeanyi Okafor. And top on our bulletin, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed the federal government's determination to implement far-reaching measures towards entrenching the change mantra in the people's individual lives as it strives to deliver a prosperous Nigeria. The president, who stated this at the commissioning of Osogbo Government High School in Osun State, said excessive waste and rent-seeking in governance are already being curtailed as fiscal discipline becomes the order of the day. Uchenwizo reports.
The inauguration was part of activities to mark the 25th anniversary of Osun State. President Muhammadu Buhari said the aim of Rating State is to bring government closer to the people at the grassroots, and he commended Osun State government for investing in human development for a better Nigeria.
There should be a substantial commitment of energy and resources to education by all the levels of government. This is how we can renew our society and shape the future of our children as we strive to deliver, to rescue the country from past mistakes.
Osun State Government Ralph Ariboshola stressed his readiness to continue to provide conducive learning environment, enhance the free school feeding program, provision of free uniforms and other learning materials as being embarked by the government.
The overall aim is to develop the new man intellectually, socially and morally. This new man is placed in the center of society, who views his own development as part of and for the development of the society.
The 1.35 billion naira project has a capacity for 1,000 students, 72 classrooms fully equipped with state-of-the-art facility. It is one of the 170 new schools being built in the state, with 40 already completed. Uchenwizu, NTA News.
Now, still talking education. The failure of agencies and departments in the Ministry of Education to sufficiently follow regulations on procurement issues has elicited the ministry to summon an interactive meeting with chairmen and secretaries of the Parastatals Tenders Board in Abuja. With a theme, Building an Efficient Sectorial Procurement System, the meeting was declared open by the Permanent Secretary for Lashade Yemieson. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
The Public Procurement Act was enacted to promote openness in the conduct of government business to ensure transparency, competitiveness, value for money, and professionalism. The ministry said complaints and petitions from the public on the procurement issues showed that the processes have not been strictly adhered to. It raises the doubt that unqualified contractors are being selected for higher bidding and the taxpayers are at the receiving end. The Permanent Secretary put the blame squarely on the chief executives of the department.
The consequences of these weaknesses are very, very grave. As accounting officers, the chief executives of parastatals and of tertiary institutions are obligated by law that will be held responsible, and not the chairmen or members of governing councils.
Now to security matters, as the Nigerian police is building a database for crime management in line with global best practices. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who laid the foundation for the project, said the Buhari administration is determined to equip the police and other security agencies. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This is a move most Nigerians have for long awaited, especially the Vice President, whose experience while working with the Nigerian police in and out of the country revealed a crop of core world-acknowledged professionals in combating crime and maintaining the peace, with reference to being about the most effective in the UN peace mission in Somalia. However, one thing he notes is missing is in relation to digital crime fighting techniques.
And the direction that we should be going is smart policing. Policing that is smart. Policing that is technology savvy. Policing that is based more on common sense, on technology, than just, brute force or just manually doing everything.
The existence of ICT, he explains, has increased the level of sophistication in all kinds of criminality. The need for the database at those times, he says, is important.
One of the things I'd like the police to do with the Crime and Incident Database Center is to collaborate with all of the other databases that we already have. We're already working on a program of unifying all existing databases, all existing, especially information on Nigerians everywhere. President Muhammadu Buhari is solidly behind the police force, and his desire is to build a police force that is the envy of the world.
Acting Inspector General of Police Idris Ibrahim says the full implementation of the project will enrich the full interaction between the zonal and state commands and other police formations across the country.
Project, of course, is it's almost a 60 billion naira project, but this is the first phase we are going to. It's going to be built in phases, and like the Vice President said, the federal government obviously has been supporting the police to achieve, to modernize the police force.
With the deployment of modern equipment for its operations, there is the expectation that there would be a closure in the void created by the inadequate personnel to monitor and protect an estimated 170 million Nigerians. From the police force headquarters in Abuja, it's Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And turning to infrastructure development, as part of efforts to provide infrastructure in the country, the federal government has signed 2 contracts with the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. The 2 contracts are on the Kano-Kaduna Segment 3 of the Lagos-Kano Rail Modernization with a contract sum of $1.685 billion, while the other one is the Calabar-Port Harcourt Segment 1 extending to the One Deep Sea Port of the Coastal Rail at the cost of $3.4 billion. Minister of Transport, Chibike Amechi, who signed the contract, assured that the federal government will release its counterpart fund as quickly as possible in order to fast-track the completion of the projects in November 2018.
Whatever it takes to get China Exim Bank to move the funds so that we can commence construction. So we need to count for CCECC and the case of the West from November. And hoping that in 2018, November, we should have finished.
He added that the commercial contract agreement is symbolic in the sense that the government is doing the segmentation of the contract in line with the agreement with the China Exim Bank. Now to matters of the economy, as the federal government is addressing all barriers to creating an enabling environment for existing and potential investors to aid the country's economic diversification process. Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyama said this while briefing the press on the post-6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development TCAD, attended by President Muhammadu Buhari, with other African leaders and the Japanese government, as well as investors. Ronke Kolawole reports.
Tokyo International Conference on African Development TCAD is a platform for political and business leaders from African continent and Japan to analyze African developmental issues and re-strategize on accelerating economic growth on the continent. The 6th edition held in August in Nairobi, Kenya, and the first time it will hold in Africa was not different.
It was a good meeting. Mr. President, certainly put forward Nigeria's position as the political will is there and the support at the highest level of government is there to really transform.
Jeffrey Onyama said the attendance by President Muhammadu Buhari created ample opportunities for the nation as he was able to initiate new trade zones and get the commitment of Japan on developmental matters.
This meeting was very much in line with the foreign policy approach of Mr. President to engage with different partners that we can really start to diversify, but also learning from the experience of others.
The Foreign Affairs Minister agreed that there are challenges with doing business with ease in Nigeria, but will be surmounted by the present administration. Runke Kolawole, NTA News.
Back to security matters, as the Nigerian Army has acquired equipment that will facilitate the addiction and demining of areas infested with mines by the Boko Haram. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukuru Burutai, disclosed this during a press briefing at the headquarters of the Multinational Joint Task Force in N'Djamena, Chad. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
A press conference organized by the Multinational Joint Task Force is aimed at highlighting the progress recorded in the ongoing fight against Boko Haram by the Nigerian military. Following the recent massive onslaught, several camps of the terrorist group have been destroyed, arms recovered, and many abducted people, mostly women and children, liberated.
These successes have been made possible by the combined efforts of all the troops contributing countries under the coordination of the Multinational Joint Task Force.
On the location of the abducted Chibok girls, the Chief of Army Staff said the Army will continue to verify intelligence report until the girls and other abducted people are completely rescued.
Call on the non-governmental organizations who are involved in the mining activities to come in to assist in the mining of the areas that have been littered with mines by the Boko Haram.
The attention of the Nigerian Army, he said, is also focused on the welfare of IDPs. Similarly, the head of mission of the Joint Task Force has appealed to member nations to fulfill their obligations to the force.
Our strategic partners have promised to support the Multinational Joint Task Force. Many pledges have been made, but we are yet to see the actualization of that support. Without the financial support of Nigeria, we wouldn't have been where we are now.
From the headquarters of the Multinational Joint Task Force in N'Djamena, Chad, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The Director General, SMIDAN, Diko Umaru, has said that for the present administration's economic diversification drive to yield more dividends, the government needs to further boost the medium and small-scale enterprise. He said this when participants of NIP's Course 38 on study tour visited him in Abuja. Online Kaujo reports.
The Director General, SMIDAN, maintains that for the nation to properly diversify the economy, the medium and small enterprise subsector must be accorded top priority because of its contribution to the growth of the economy. Dr. Rada informed the NIPS participants that the agency has a one local government, one product program which is aimed at reducing poverty and creating wealth among Nigerians. Leader of the delegation, Professor Abu Galadima, while appreciating the activities of SMIDAN, challenged the management to fully engage Nigerians through their entrepreneurship programs. He believes NIPS stands to benefit from the activities of SMIDAN in order to achieve the course theme for 2016, which is strengthening institutional mechanism for poverty reduction and inclusive development in Nigeria. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Now, in the midst of growing concerns, formulating an effective legal framework for peace building and conflict management in Africa became the focus of a forum in Abuja on policy dialogue for regional economic communities. The session was at the instance of Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in collaboration with some international institutes and non-governmental organizations. Joseph O'Rourke reports.
Conflicts arising from individual, communal, states, national, and international misunderstanding, experts agree, have been the bane of rapid socio-economic developments of the society. This is why they say every effort targeted at peaceful resolution or management of conflicts is apt. This forum focuses on policy dialogue of regional economic communities and peace building in Africa, lessons learned from Intergovernmental Authority on Developments and ECOWAS.
Two key things is that how can we make regional economic communities such as ECOWAS to be able to respond to new challenges.
There is a lot of dialogue going on, but sometimes we feel that we are talking past each other.
Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, speaking on 2.5 decades of ECOWAS peace interventions, regretted recent situations where the community has become a victim of its peace-building successes.
ECOWAS has remained largely stagnant on peace and security for at least a decade and a half now, because it has remained complacent, comfortable, and remains comfortable in the notion.
The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, the Nordic Africa Institute, and the Social Science Research Council, New York, have come together to ensure that we provide a platform for exchange between scholars, practitioners, and policymakers.
A communique is expected at the end of the policy dialogue. Joseph Orok, NTA News.
A quick peek at the environment now, as African countries are advocating homegrown solutions to the environmental challenges facing the continent. This was during the 2016 edition of the International Environmental Roundtable for Africa in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
This is the sad commentary humanity faces anytime the negative side of the environment shows up through the manifestation of flood, desertification, erosion, drought, and climate change. These environmental challenges have no respect for boundaries, religion, or tribe. So, this gathering of like minds from Africa is to form a common front with African perspective to address these issues.
So the Ministry of Environment is working to make sure that there are climate-friendly activities like the green agriculture. We're talking about green bonds, where we go to the capital market and try to raise funds for climate-related issues.
Activism is about action. What are the actions that we can take at the individual level, at the community level, before we can then feel the impact nationally? Secondly, as African countries, we need to collaborate together.
As a nation, for instance, there are so many things competing for attention. But the environment is important. The environment is so crucial, it affects every single thing.
Organizations, corporate bodies, and individuals are putting in their best to stem the rising tide of unwholesome environmental practices. So, the International Environmental Roundtable for Africa presented awards to spur them do more for the environment. Your station of choice, NTA, was one of the recipients for its various environmental programs and news items in educating the masses. The Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ebum Mohamed, was represented to receive the award.
It is in the interest of NTA, in the interest of the country, to continue to project, all these environmental issues with the hope that, we will better manage our environment for successive generations.
The theme of the 2016 International Environmental Roundtable for Africa is curbing environmental degradation and climate change through activism. Mia Ogidi, NTA News.
This is NTA International News. We'll take a break now to return shortly with more reports. Do stay tuned.
Have you been thinking about coming to Nigeria? Then what are you waiting for? Come share in our wealth of vast resources. Come discover treasure. Come to where there's lots of business opportunities. To Nigeria. Nigeria, my nation, my pride.
So good to have you join us back. Now, residents of the Federal Capital Territory and people in other parts of the country witnessed the 2016 lunar eclipse
Today about what you have observed?
Yes.
At the moment, it is not about to rain. Certainly, it's the effect of the eclipse of the natural phenomenon, and that is exactly what is making this darkness appear so.
But it's very interesting to actually witness, being here, able to witness this for the first time. And I'm sure a lot of young children here too have been reading about it. So we take a particular interest in supporting science, the science, NASDRA, and science and technology as a whole, because that is the way of the future.
As the last 4 months of the year, also known in the Nigerian parlance as Ember Month, starts, the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyeyemi, has directed all zonal and sector commanders to commence special patrol in order to bring road traffic crashes to the barest minimum. He stated this at the strategic session organized for sector commanders in Abuja. Aliu Tukur reports.
Ember months are associated with upsurge in vehicular traffic. To ensure safety on the roads, the Federal Road Safety Corps organized a strategic session with the aim of reviewing its performance over the last 8 months and to also strategize for the remaining 4 months. To achieve this, the Corps says it remains committed to tackling the use of substandard tires, curbing excess speeding by implementing the speed limit device from next month, overloading, number plate violation, timely removal of obstruction on the highway, as well as continuous effective monitoring and evaluation of processes and procedures.
We hope that within the last 4 months of this year, we should be able to reduce the crashes to an acceptable level. We can eradicate crashes, but it's the fatalities we are more concerned about, to bring down the fatalities.
The Corps Marshal decried the increase in the rate of assault on the Corps personnel.
More measures are being worked on. And I think we press for the final resolution so that we complete the processes to be able to protect our personnel.
The Corps says it has resumed patrol along the Damaturu-Maiduguri route. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Now for reports on the economy, here's Moplang Dakok on business news.
Hello and thanks for joining us. The federal government is to introduce what it tagged livelihood-intensive family enterprise, an initiative expected to address poverty and financial illiteracy in rural areas. The program, which is in partnership with International Fund for Agricultural Development, Central Bank, and the World Bank, is expected to provide small-scale agro-allied industries in the rural areas.
Is to provide research and productivity for agricultural use, and in the other place again to spread the word of how you access those research, finance, and bring sustainable development.
It's good news for Nigerians as the price of rice is expected to fall following bumper harvest expected from rice farmers nationwide. Both rice farmers and millers have confirmed the increase in the production of paddy rice, which is put at over 8 million metric tons. Many Nigerians have decried the increase in the price of rice, especially the foreign ones, as a 50-kilogram bag has gone higher at 18,000 naira in major markets in the country, as against the former price of 8 to 10,000 naira. And here's a look at trading on the Nigerian stock market this Thursday. The market outlook wraps up the segment. I am Moplang Dakok.
Thank you, Moplan. And away from business and time for a quick surf around the globe with some events making the rounds. Oku Ekpenyong is our guide.
We begin from Gabon, where violence has erupted in the capital, Libreville, after President Ali Bongo was declared winner of a presidential election. Opposition leader Jean Ping on Thursday claimed that 2 people were killed and many wounded when the Presidential Guard and police attacked his party's headquarters overnight, adding that the country's election demands a recount under supervision of international monitors.
Meanwhile, Malaysia has reported its first case of Zika on Thursday when a woman tested positive for the mosquito-borne virus after 115 people have so far been infected. And we conclude this package in Brazil, where Michel Temer, former vice president of that country, has become Brazil's president with a stroke of a pen, taking over from Dilma Rousseff, who chose him as her running mate almost 6 years ago. Brazil's new president was confirmed after 61 of 81 senators backed Rousseff's removal from office amid economic decline and bribery scandal. Oku Ekpayong, NTA News.
Ministerial Sports Reform Committee submits report in Abuja as Team Nigeria departs for the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games. Kenema Bodike has more on sports updates.
A new sports architecture is on the works following the submission of a report by the Sports Reform Committee to the Youth and Sports Minister Solomon Dalun Thursday in Abuja. The committee chairman Godwin Kienka said members worked hard and independent of the Sports Ministry in order to prefer some far-reaching suggestions.
If 80% of this report is implemented, Nigeria will be among the top 10 nations at the 2024 Olympics.
The sports minister thanked members of the committee for their input and assured that everything possible will be done to actualize greatness for sport in Nigeria. In another development, Minister of Youth and Sports Solomon Dalun has charged Team Nigeria to the forthcoming 2016 Rio Paralympics to represent the nation positively at the Games, which begin September 7. Dalun gave the charge in Abuja Thursday while sending forth the team made up of 23 athletes and 6 coaches.
In posterity, you will be remembered as those who struggled, gave their effort and contribution for the country to be great.
With sports update, Kenai Imaburike, NTA News.
Friday's weather prospect is next in Nigeria and some world cities. This is the news on NTA International. I am Ifeanyi Okafor. Thanks for watching.